Welcome to another episode of Missing Pieces. This is my weekly audio journal where I talk about my life and the things that I'm into and what we're up to. And this week, we're up to a lot. In fact, this is probably going to come as a shock, so brace yourself. But we spent this past week in Walt Disney World in Florida. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Greg, didn't you guys already go to Disney this year? And we did. In this calendar year, we went back in February to Disney, and we had such a great time that we decided that we would go back again for their holidays special. So they have all these different things that are happening, and it's all Christmas themed. They got Christmas music playing. And we decided that was going to be a priority for us this year because it would be the only opportunity we'd ever have to do this. Cody is off this year, as we've discussed previously, and she can very rarely, if ever, get enough personal days to take a week to go to Disney during this time of year. So we decided, you know what? We've done enough planning. We've done enough preparing for the future. Let's live our lives and live for today. And that's exactly what we did. In fact, we lived for the whole week because we left on Sunday night, heading to Philadelphia. In fact, it was like the greatest or maybe worst time to leave because it was like snowing and raining, and it was never like a greater time to get out of Pennsylvania than when like winter officially hits. But I had to drive to Philadelphia in like this really terrible weather, and then it got dark. But we ended up staying at a place called the Home 2 Suites, and it was like the nicest hotel that I've ever stayed in. It really wasn't that much money. They have shuttle service to the airport, which was all good, but it was so nice. And I was like, you know what? If we ever go to the Philadelphia airport again, this is my hotel. Everybody there was spectacular. The reviews were off the charts, and I can vouch for it. So if you're ever going to the Philadelphia airport and you need to stay overnight, Home 2 Suites is the place to go. Owned by Hilton. I am like a Hilton member. I have their credit card and all this stuff, so I get points. I'm not affiliated. I wish I was, but there's our ad for the week for Home 2 Suites. Hopefully that check comes in the mail from them. No, but we stayed there. They shuttled us over the next day, which was Monday morning. I have to say, flying on Monday, so much better of an experience than flying on the weekend. We've always left on Saturdays because of Cody's work and Clark's school. We would leave like Friday night after school got out, and then we would leave Saturday. And Saturday at the airport's a madhouse. Monday morning at like 10 o'clock, beautiful. No problems at all. Like we went in. Security always like a little sketchy, but when we went last time, like there was this like hallway, and it like people just backed up the whole way because you know the bottleneck is TSA. And I have to say, I guess I'll save this for the end. My thoughts on travel in general and the best and worst parts. You can probably predict what my least favorite part of traveling is as I'm talking about it. But we made it through that, got on the plane, flew down there, and it's so amazing because literally within 2 hours you go from sucky cold Pennsylvania to beautiful Orlando, and you're just like, just getting off the plane and experiencing the weather there was incredible. It was, to put in comparison, I think it was like in the 30s here this week. In fact, while we were gone, we got a massive snowstorm that was, I think, probably like 4 inches of snow with all this ice and stuff. But down there, it was like 70s, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I need in my life. So it's nice to get a little reprieve from this, but we had an amazing time in Disney, as you can expect. I don't know if you could go there and have a bad time. I just don't know if that's physically possible unless you're just truly like a miserable person, because I've seen that. I remember when we got married, we were in Jamaica getting married, and I remember there was this lady there just like going off on somebody. And I was like, how could you possibly like not be at your best right now? And maybe that is that person at their best. But yeah, I think sometimes you can't escape your personality in some ways, which is scary for some people. But if you ever want to put a smile on your face, I think going to Disney can do that. Unless, you know, your wallet's along the ride with you. He's not going to have a smile on his face because, man, everything's expensive down there. I was talking to Cody about this. We're talking about literally every time we do something, we're like, man, this is such a scam. You know, like everything is pay to play. Everything is an upcharge. Everything costs money. Everything's super expensive. But you like willingly do it because it's such an amazing atmosphere. And we're already talking about going back again. Not anytime soon, but it's just a place that's magical as they advertise. It really is. It's so great. And we got to ride some new rides. It's like the highlight of this for me. We got to ride the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which was under construction last time we were there. Got to ride that. In fact, we did that our first night, and that's at Epcot, which is kind of weird because you would think like a Guardians ride would be in Hollywood Studios. Because it's movie related, right? But no, it's in Epcot. We rode that with an upcharge. I think it was $17 per person. That's after buying tickets for the park, which I think are over $100 each. And if you want to upgrade to Disney Plus or Genie Plus, which allows you to have lightning lanes, that's like $19 per person. Again, it's a scam. all of Disney is a scam, and I say that with love in my heart for the place. But it's like pay to play, and you're only going to go there if you got deep pockets and you're willing to part with a whole lot of money. In fact, I saw my favorite part of Disney, other than the rides, which I'll talk about here. I just love looking at everyone's t-shirts, because if you're looking at people's t-shirt game, Disney is the place where everybody's got awesome shirts on. Like regarding Disney properties or custom ones they made, where it's like, Smith Family Disney Trip 2022, and everybody in the fam has like their name on the shirt like it's a jersey. It's all awesome. But my favorite one was this one that said, I believe it said Disney, the most expensive day ever, or something like that. It's something about expensive. I'll have to ask Cody what it said, but we both got a good chuckle out of that. Yeah, it's like the most magical place ever, the most expensive place ever. It was along those lines, and I just thought that was really crafty, and it was like the dad wearing it, so he knows. But we got to ride Guardians, and that was incredible. It really is like, if you ever ridden Space Mountain or know what Space Mountain is, it's like that on steroids. You go inside, and it's all dark, and they're spinning you around and flipping you around. It's an indoor roller coaster. It's awesome. I would ride it again, but Clark didn't love it because of all the spins and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to ride it by myself, because you have to go in and you got to wait a little bit, even if you pay the money, because they all load you in and all that. And I didn't want to take time away. So I was like, you know what? That one ride was enough for me. I'll keep my $17. As much as like $17 is almost like, it's like a drop in the ocean when you're going to Disney. But it was fun. I also got to ride for the first time Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And you're like, Greg, it's been there since 1980. Why didn't you ride it last time? It was down. For the week that we were there last time, it was down. And I was so sad about that, but so happy to get to ride it. We rode that thing at least 3 or 4 times. I love that ride so much. It's to put it in perspective for someone that's never been there, it's like a little train roller coaster, like modeled after a train, and you're going through all these canyons and stuff like that. And they got some pretty nice banks and stuff. They do have a newer version of that kind of one-ups it a little bit, which is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Ride, and that one is like a premium ride as well. It's almost like what Guardians did to Space Mountain, where they took this thing and made it like next level, and that's where everyone flocks to. So I feel like Big Thunder Mountain is almost like an underrated ride, where you don't have to really wait too long to get on there, and it's a really enjoyable experience. Other than the fact that I like a free-flowing ride the entire time, like the Phoenix and Knoebels is my favorite roller coaster. This one, there's several stops where they kind of have to crank you up again to get you going, because they don't have a massive incline at the beginning. So other than that, it's so much fun, and we were having a blast on it. Clark was yelling some like crazy stuff while he was riding it. Like, I think he yelled out, "Polly want a cracker." It's like, what? Who yells that on a roller coaster? But yeah, it was awesome riding that. Also, another ride that we didn't get to ride before, which was a massive disappointment to me at the time, was Expedition Everest, which is in Animal Kingdom. That was down the week we were there too. It was like the worst case scenario, and that ride is incredible. Like, they send you way up into these mountains, and then you come to a part where the track just ends, and then they send you backwards, which is like the really thrilling part. And then there's this Yeti that shows up in on the wall. It's kind of like a shadow, like if you did a shadow puppet, for example. I understand that at one point there was an actual Yeti in there that was animatronic, but there was an issue with it that it no longer works. So this is like what they do now, and it's fun. But then after you go backwards down through this, then they send you forwards again, and you end up down at the bottom, and it's a blast. We rode that twice, so it was definitely like a lot of coasters, and just a lot of us just dominating the place like crazy. Like, we were able to get every park in like twice, because now that we've been there before, you kind of get the lay of the land a little bit more. You know what rides you maybe don't want to ride again. It's a small world talking to you. I know it just probably triggered half the Disney audience here. I just couldn't do that one again. It will be stuck in your head for weeks. Look at a YouTube video if it's a small. Don't do it. We rode Winnie the Pooh for the first time, which was a fun little ride too. The Magic Kingdom is like on my tier list here. Magic Kingdom is my favorite park, easily, by a long shot. I love it. I love so much about it. There's so much to do. Tomorrowland is awesome. It's so spread out and so big that it doesn't feel overly crowded, even though there's a ton of people there, which is the opposite of now my least favorite park, Hollywood Studios. Again, triggering the Star Wars audience and the Toy Story people, or if that actually exists. Hollywood Studios is really cool, but there's far too many people there for the amount of things they have to do there, which makes it almost like not fun to be there. I felt the same way when we went to Universal the one day. We went to the Harry Potter area, and it's just flooded, and you just feel overwhelmed with the mass of people in this one space because there's a huge fan base. Like Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars thing at Hollywood Studios, obviously massive fan base, as we all know, and it's just so hard to get around. Like you have to pay to ride Rise of the Resistance, which we did, and that was fun. But we wanted. Here's an example. Here's why I don't like Hollywood Studios anymore. That was my number 2. It's now number 4 out of 4. Slinky Dog. I made a strategical error the one morning with the Lightning Lane, which I paid for. The way Lightning Lane works is you can book a ride and you don't have to wait in line. So I booked like our thing we wanted to do the most, which was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is a lot of fun. But I made an error because I should have booked Slinky Dog instead, because that one books up so fast. It's the only like roller coaster over in Hollywood Studios. Well, no, that's not true. You also have Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster, which I rode solo while Cody and Clark watched Beauty and the Beast, and I would not ride it again. It wasn't worth it, in my opinion, even though I did the Lightning Lane on that. But what happens at Lightning Lane is you have to redeem it before you can book another Lightning Lane. And in the time that takes, like it starts at 7 a.m. The park opens at like 8 or 9. You can't book again until you ride that ride. So what happens is everyone starts booking Slinky Dog, and the time gets moved further and further out. So at 7:30, Slinky Dog's already out to noon for Lightning Lanes, and by 8, you can't even book it anymore. So we ended up we did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is fun. And then we waited for an hour for Slinky Dog, the roller coaster, which in my opinion is cool, but not an hour cool. But that's what happens with every ride in Hollywood Studios. They all get up to an hour plus. Some of them get up to 2 hours, 3 hours. And it's just like, that's, to me, is unacceptable. Like, if you're going to have a park where people have to wait 2 hours to ride a ride, there's something wrong there. Either you need a limited admission into that area, or you need more things for people to do, which again, if they would have put the Guardians ride over there, maybe that would have alleviated that, or maybe that would just draw more people in. I don't know. But because of that, Hollywood Studio moves down to number 4. It's too busy and not worth what it is, unless you're you just want to live in that world of Star Wars. And I can totally understand that. Or if you're a Toy Story fan, there's like a Toy Story World. Tower of Terror, I didn't get a chance to ride, mainly because Cody and Clark didn't necessarily want to do that one. But the line on that one's insane as well. Like, you can go to Disney and not spend all this extra money, but you're going to be waiting for an hour or two for a ride, and you're going to eat up your day. So in my mind, it's like, is 120 minutes of our day worth the $10 that it's going to cost for each of us to ride a ride? And I think I probably talked about this in the last episode. I talked about Disney as well. And in my mind, it is. Like, if I can buy 2 hours of my Disney day for $30, I'll do that. And I think that's what they're banking on. Banking, indeed, they do. What's number 2, you may ask? Well, you'd be surprised to find that Animal Kingdom has gone up to number 2 on my list from number 4. Was my least favorite. Like, I regretted last time spending an entire day there. Like, I was like, we should have just did like a half day. And I think that's what most people do. Because if you look at the wait times for Expedition Everest, for example, it drops off around noon, because I think people go to Animal Kingdom in the morning, they see what there is to see, and then they bounce. But I love Animal Kingdom because of the atmosphere. It really does feel like you're walking through these various areas. Like, they have an Asia area, and they have Pandora, which is the Avatar thing. Also, my favorite ride in Disney is the Flight of Passage, where you ride a Banshee or whatever it is, an Ikron, through the Avatar world. It's almost like Soarin', which is my other favorite ride, which is in Epcot, where you're just like sitting in this machine thing, and it's like moving you around, and like you have 3D glasses on, and everything seems so amazing. Like, you really do feel like you're riding this. It's like flying. And we did that twice at a tune of like $40 each time, because it's a pay to play. Again, you don't want to wait in line for 2 hours to ride that. Pay to play. That's the Disney way. And it's 4.5 minutes, I believe, for $40. So, we talk about, going to the movie theater and how expensive that is. At least you get 2 hours of entertainment for, the price of 3 tickets or whatever. I just can imagine taking like a family, like if you had 3 kids or something like that. My God, you're gonna be in line for hours with those kids, unless you pay $60 or $90 or whatever it costs to ride, and it's like, holy smokes! Again, these Disney people, they're built different. They are a rare breed of people that will literally do whatever it takes to do what they love and to experience the things they love in Disney. And I can respect that. I'm that way in some ways. I don't know if I'm that way with like these Disney properties, but there was like, I mean, there's a girl dressed in an entire Avatar costume. Again, everybody there, you have to imagine, is like the biggest super fan in the entire world. And yeah, it's just a cool thing to be a part of. Number 3 on my list, of course, is Epcot, which they have Soarin', which is one of my favorite rides. And it's nothing special. It's like you're hang gliding throughout the world. I just like those motion rides like that. But it's all the eating, and then they have like this water show at night with fireworks and stuff that's really incredible. But the thing that we went there for mostly, that was a little different from last time, because we did everything that we did before. This time we went for these Christmas specials that they do. Like the one was the Candlelight Procession, which is the story of Christmas. And here's the scam with this. I told you Disney's full of scams. If you want guaranteed seating for that, which it fills up very quickly, you have to eat dinner at one of these particular restaurants in Epcot. Okay, no problem. But it's not just eating dinner there. You have to order each adult, or I think it was each adult, has to order an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. So you can imagine how much money that adds up to be. And that's just to get guaranteed seating for this Candlelight Procession, which is basically like it's like an orchestra playing with like a choir, and it was really amazing, like playing the Christmas hits and stuff. It was incredible. And that Gloria Estefan, who I couldn't pick out of a crowd. I couldn't name a song that she sang. I know nothing about her, but she obviously has a pretty huge fan base, because when she came out to narrate this thing, everybody had their phone out getting video of her. You'll see phones out a lot at Disney, including mine. I filmed it, like I said. But she told the story, and then the singing happens, and they had this choir come in. It was incredible. But again, it was kind of a scam. Like you could wait in line to get in there, but there's a good chance that you wouldn't get in at all, because we saw this line that we thought was like the waiting line. No, that was all the people that did the restaurant thing that we did. And our dinner that night was like $200. It was like the second most expensive dinner that I've ever paid for in my life. So that's what we had to pay for the show. Like it's just like a sneaky way to get you to pay for a free show, essentially. I mean, you could stand like there's a walkway that people are crossing by, and you could stand there and watch, but I think they probably keep you moving somewhat. But again, another scam. I shouldn't call them scams. They're not scamming you. Like I'm willfully getting scammed. It's a upcharge. It's a price gouge. I don't know what you'd call it. I'm going to call it a scam. Let me go with that. Because that's what we're calling all week. I'm like, I just got the first scam of the day, 7 o'clock. I just spent $57 on the lightning lanes, and then I got to pay to get in these rides. But we did that, and then we did the Mickey's Christmas show. What was it called? Mickey's Christmas Party. It's a party, and it was a party. That was at Magic Kingdom. That was Thursday night. And they give you free cookies and hot chocolate and stuff like that, eggnog. But the cool thing is they do a very special fireworks show on Magic Kingdom. And also the coolest thing, in my opinion, was Space Mountain has like a Christmas theme inside of it. And usually Space Mountain I'm not a huge fan of, because it's completely dark and like you see stars and lights and stuff. And it's like, okay. But this, they had like a strobe going off in there too, along with all these Christmas lights and Christmas music. And you could see the inner structure of Space Mountain, which is really cool to see, like all the different like wood and stuff that it's made of, because it's an indoor roller coaster. And that was neat to see. So I was happy to do that. But man, by the end of that day, getting into Thursday, again, we had been there since Monday. My feet were just ruined. Like we were walking, I think on average about 10 miles a day, which is pretty good. I mean, you're burning off some of those calories you take in. But that day, like earlier on, we had gone to Disney Springs, and I finally got to go to the Disney Springs Lego store, which is really cool. And while we're doing that, Cody decided that she would go to Gideon's Bakery, which is this like famous cookie place there. And she waited like 40 minutes in line to get cookies. Again, another scam. Right? Like I don't care how good a cookie is. I would never wait 40 minutes for a cookie, but we all have different priorities, you know, and Cody loves her sweet snacks, like treats and, you know, chocolate and stuff like that. So she took one for the team sort of, and did that while Clark and I oogled, I guess. We didn't Google the Lego store. We oogled over it. All the amazingness that is a Disney Springs store. They've got some cool stuff outside. That day though was the only, and actually it kind of worked out for the best because it was the only like rainy day we had. If you guys remember last week, there was this big thing that went across the United States. If you live in the US, you probably got affected by this massive like storm surge that went across. Like I mentioned, we got a ton of snow here. I think there was like tornadoes that they're forecasting, blizzards, everything. And it went right across the United States. That day, Florida got some rain and some thunderstorms, but it wasn't too bad. We definitely got soaked. Like we were out there shopping and we finished lunch and it was pouring outside and we're like, well, I guess this is life now. So we went running to the Star Wars store where we wanted to check out, and like my Lego bag was like breaking through, and Cody had a bag from Gideon's that was breaking through because they give you paper bags. And there was this true gentleman at the Star Wars store that gave us like Disney like plastic bags to put those in. So that was nice. And then we went to the Coca-Cola store, I think, and where else did we go? We didn't go to too many places. And a lot of it is like high-end shopping, which certainly isn't us. I just really wanted to check out the Lego store in particular. I did get an exclusive set there that I was able to make it back home with no damage, which was great. But Disney Springs is just something I wanted to experience. And we didn't really have like a park scheduled for Thursday because we were doing the Disney Christmas party or Mickey's Christmas party in the afternoon. So we could get in there at 4, which if we wanted to go to other parks during the day, we would have had to also buy another ticket for the day. So that it made sense to do Disney Springs. We also got a little bit of swimming in on Wednesday. It was a beautiful day. It was probably the best day there was Wednesday. And Clark and I got some swimming in. The place we stayed at was called the Boardwalk, which is across from the beach club where we stayed at last time. And they had this giant slide that looked like a roller coaster. It had all these spins in it. And that was so much fun. And I was so happy that I wasn't the only dude on that. Like there was all these kids that I made friends with, but there was like one other guy that was just going down over and over again. So I didn't feel so weird. Clark did get busted for wearing his goggles on the slide, which he got probably like 12 slides in before they said anything. But that was like a deal breaker for him. And that was the only day we really got to swim. We were going to try again Friday, but after Thursday and that cold front moved in, it only got up to like the high 60s on Friday, which to me was very comfortable. I started the day with a sweatshirt, took that off and felt great. I honestly feel like I wouldn't survive Florida in the summertime. I love it. Like even like the days when it was like mid 70s, I could feel the heat from the sun. Like it's like, it felt different than it does in Pennsylvania. Like it felt really hot. So I don't think I'd want to live the 80, 90 degree life in Florida with the humidity and stuff during the summer as much as I'm like, we need to move to Florida. We need to get out of this. Right now, I'd love to be there. Every day, I would just love it. But then I need to get out during the summer. So I need to like really find a way to make a lot of money so I can buy a house or a condo or something in Florida that we can just make our winter home. And then Cody and Clark would have to like not do school anymore. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but you know, a guy can dream, right? He can dream about leaving Pennsylvania in the winter. You guys probably, some of you in the northern climates have it worse than I do. And you probably can imagine what Orlando would be like. So it was just so much fun. Again, like I love traveling, but the only downside of it is for us is it takes 3 hours to get to Philadelphia and about the same to get to Newark, in New Jersey. So you almost have to leave the day before because we schedule these flights for like 10 o'clock in the morning, and you don't want to be driving in to Philadelphia at like 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock on a Monday morning and then trying to find parking and doing all that stuff. You just don't want that in your life. And then if you're late for that or there's an accident, then you're missing your flight. So we always stay the night before. So like our trips always start like the day before. And then the worst part is that when you come back, because we came back on Saturday, which was yesterday, and here's my day. Get up at 7 o'clock, pack all my stuff up, out of the hotel in a cab by 8. Get into the Orlando airport, go through their nightmarish security, like just terrible. Compared to Philadelphia, Orlando sucks. Like the whole entire airport is just like sad looking and like hideous, but they are building like a new one apparently, or already started building it, or it's finished, which is for international flights. But this one just sucks. The security there, and this is what I hate about TSA. Hopefully they're not watching. I'm gonna get put on lists or something. They treat you like you're going into jail, basically. They treat you like you're entering into the prison system. Like, and it's so weird when you go from Disney where everyone is so friendly with you, like they call you they're like, come on friends, and everybody's so nice, to go from that into the hell that is the TSA system in Orlando, Florida. It just sucks. The people there are so rude and so nasty. And I think it's the part of the problem is that they're like government employees as opposed to representing the airlines. So they don't give a crap. They're there to do their job, and they don't care about you whatsoever. They're just trying to make sure you don't carry any guns or bombs or whatever on. But I just feel like it's so excessive. And I would love to know, and maybe they thwart all kinds of attempts to blow up planes or steal planes or whatever the case is. But like, how necessary is all of this? Like, to have to go through an hour of security and take off your shoes and all the stuff off you, and you got to take your iPad out of your backpack and you got to put it on a thing, and electronics can't be overlapping, and all of this stuff for what? Like, I understand we made some very critical errors 20 plus years ago. And the fact that, like, if those planes that terrorists had taken, if they just had like a lock or a latch where the cabin is versus where the pilots are, the cockpit, that would have stopped all of that for the most part. So like, if you can just keep people from taking bombs on, like physically blowing planes up in the sky, which, I guess could happen, but that obviously wasn't their target. Why isn't that not good enough? Why do we have to go through all of this? It's like my least favorite part of traveling, and it makes me dread traveling. And I know I'm being just a gigantic baby about this. And some of you guys are like, Greg, I fly all the time, and it's not that big of a deal. You can deal with it. I just hate it. I just truly hate the whole process of lining up and being disrespected, sort of. At least I feel that way. And to have to go through all that for nothing. But, if that keeps the plane safe, I guess it's worth it. It's my least favorite part of travel. But then, like, coming back, like I was saying, we get on the plane, or we get to the airport at 8, get on the plane at 10 o'clock, fly home until like 12, we get back. And then it was like 40 minutes waiting for our luggage in Philadelphia for them to bring it out. Like, everybody's just waiting there. It was at least half an hour before our stuff started coming. And then we got to wait for the hotel to come over and get us, because they want you to wait until you get your bags, because they know it's going to take forever. You don't just call them to pick you up when you get off the plane, because then you got to wait for your bags. And I have no idea how those people that were there, if they had any kind of, like, if they were doing the thing where they switch planes and get onto another plane. The word for that's escaping me now. Layover? No. I don't know what it is, where you go from one plane to another. I don't know how those people made any of their flights, because we were looking at other flights for another trip that's upcoming, and every one of them was like 45 minutes, like less than an hour. If you had done that in Philadelphia that day, your next flight was long gone by the time you got your bag. So very sketchy thing to do. But we got our bags, and then we had the airport or the hotel pick us up. Super nice guy, dropped us off right at our car, classy fella. And then it's getting in the car and driving home for 3.5 hours. We stopped for dinner. We got home at 6 o'clock. So our entire day back, like literally an entire day, is just travel. It's not so bad when you're going down, you spend the night, but coming back sucks. And if I could just trim that down, and like spending more time driving from Philadelphia to our house than it takes to fly to Orlando from Philadelphia is just craziness. We do have an airport locally here, but I don't even know if it's in operation anymore. I don't think they even fly, and if they do, it's probably an exorbitant price. So that's kind of what we're stuck with. I wish I lived near an airport. Like, if I lived within like 30 minutes of Philadelphia, it'd be so nice, because you could just have somebody drop you off in Philadelphia before your flight, and boof, you're gone. You don't have to worry about any like stuff happening along the way. And then when you're done, you're 30 minutes away from being home. That'd be glorious. But alas, living rurally, this is what happens. Luckily, this isn't like an everyday occurrence, but when it does happen, it sucks. Speaking of planes, let's talk about my in-flight entertainment. I downloaded some movies. First movie I watched on the way down was better than the one on the way back, and that was Bullet Train, starring Brad Pitt. I saw the ads for it all over London when we were there over the summer, and I was like, let me give this a watch. And it was fun. It was very, very violent. Okay, so if you're a Disney enthusiast, maybe this isn't the movie for you. Like, you were into the Disney, this isn't it. Think of like Kill Bill, if you ever seen that movie. It's like that, but on a train, and Brad Pitt is on there. He's an assassin trying to like get a crate of money, or like a briefcase of money, but then there's all these other people on the train too, and they all interweave, and they're all fighting each other. It's pretty wild, and definitely worth a watch. It's on HBO Max if you have such things. Definitely worth your time watching that. It's over the top. It has a lot of humor in it, but it's also ultra violent and a lot of swearing and stuff too. The movie on the way back, though, I watched just out of like curiosity. And that movie was called Moonfall, which is on Netflix, I think. And this is the story of the moon essentially being a mega structure inside of it with aliens that had built it. And it's like this metal thing with like just kind of like a crust around it. And then like this other alien species that's like made of AI, nanobots, hits into the moon, attacks the moon, and then sends its gravitational force off to the point where it's on a collision course with Earth. It's like the movie The Day After Tomorrow or like 2012 or whatever those movies are, where it's like the end of the world type stuff. You know, the oceans are rising and gravity's like changing and oxygen is disappearing. It's like all of that. It was a good airplane movie. I would not recommend putting time into it though. It was just so bad. But also kind of fun to watch. So I don't regret it. I was going to watch Black Adam, which sounds like terrible to say, but I was going to watch that. But I chose this and I probably chose wrong. So I'll have to go back to that and see. We're still going to try to watch the Pinocchio movie, the new one. We haven't seen that yet. But there may be a time where we get around to watching that. I did come up with a cool idea during the trip. I saw this Instagram post that was like really cool. And I was like, oh, that's so neat. I'm going to keep this very vague because I don't want to reveal it here. But then I was in the shower and I was like, you know what would be a really cool series on my Lego channel? This. And I'm going to be doing that in 2023, which speaking of that, that's going to be a lot of what's coming up going forward in the next few weeks. Today is the December 18th. I'm actually recording this like literally right before it goes out. There's going to be a little export session here. And then you're going to be listening to this. Like this is like happening in real time. My plans for this week, kind of just editing. I would love, Clark has school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have a little bit of backlog of no 0 days to do. There's like one video that needs to go out, which is like an entire week that I'm going to try to edit today when they go to pick up Roxy. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays be Disney editing. I'd love to have all these videos out by Christmas. And then we're going to have Christmas, of course. We're going to be visiting with our brother and sister-in-law and my nephews, which is always nice. I usually don't like to say what we're doing. Like I could have talked about the whole Disney thing last week, but I don't like to advertise when we're not going to be home. I feel like that's just not a great idea. In the event that someone potentially finds our house, we do have security. So good luck as the chain guns come out of the ground and mow you down. It's not quite that extensive. I do have guard chickens and a guard cat though they'll peck you and meow you to death. But a lot of editing this week. I have this bad feeling, and you may have noticed it. I think I might be getting sick, and I wouldn't be surprised at that as how many people that we've engaged with and like been around. I have like a heaviness behind my eyes, and my throat is kind of sore. I'm just hoping that Clark doesn't get this because he's already missed those days, which we're probably going to get in trouble for. Oh well. If he gets sick in the next few days, it's gonna be real bad. So let's hope that it's just contained to me. But I definitely feel it like right now, and I don't know if it's just because I'm like kind of exhausted. Like it hurts me to have my eyes open. Like I should just do this as an audio podcast and sit here with my eyes closed. Would it really matter if I did? That actually feels so nice. Just I feel like more at peace when I have my eyes closed. So I'm just gonna be recording like this from now on. But this week's gonna be just kind of like the grind. We're gonna get through that. Christmas happens, and then like life kind of starts sucking a little bit, you know? You get into January, there's not much to look forward to. Like I love Christmas time. Like a whole month of December is fun because we're doing advent calendars. In fact, we did like a whole week's worth of advent calendars this morning, and that was a lot of fun to do because it never happens. But we were gone. And like I love Christmas music. I love the spirit. I love the movies. I love the family time. All of that is wonderful. But then like January hits. You know, you got Clark's birthday, but then after that, it's just like January, February, March. Then April, things kind of get a little more promising. But we do have a couple little secrets up our sleeve here that are going to make this winter a little bit better. A lot better, actually. So I will survive this. I'm not going to let this get me down, being back here. But I've also like all kinds of things to do. Like in my channel, I've got like all these creative ideas, and obviously I'm documenting the things we're up to, and I think we got a good thing going, and I'm excited about that. So there's always that. You can't let external things get to you. So that's that's what's happening. I'm going to try to do some live streaming this week. I've just been itching to do that. So I'm probably going to be building some stuff or maybe doing some gaming and whatnot. I think Clark wants to actually do some gaming today. So we might be live somewhere when this comes out potentially. But that's pretty much it. That was like my whole week. Obviously, there's a whole lot more to it than what I could describe here. And all the videos kind of like I did a good job, I think, of documenting our days. So hopefully be able to drop little 20-minute bombs for you each day of our trip. And it'll be like you're going to Disney with us again, only this time in Christmas. Again, I think for now I'm kind of Disneyed out. Like I don't think I'd want to go back. And like they said, hey, Greg, you want to come back tomorrow for free? I'd be like, well, we kind of did everything, although probably not. But I could see maybe like a year from now going back and then like another year. But we'd have to really manage it properly because I don't want to go during the summer months when Cody and Clark are off. So we'd have to do more like a Friday through like Tuesday thing and then use those weekend days the best we can. But it's such a fun place. It's just so expensive. So you really have to really want it. And I think we went during the perfect time. Like Clark at the age he's at, I'm crying like a baby with my feet hurting by the end of the week. He's like skipping, hopping along. He's indestructible. He doesn't complain. Such a good kid. I see all these other kids acting out, screaming, crying, fighting each other. Maybe it helps only having one, but he's sitting there like a little adult, being a good boy. And that was awesome to see. And I'm so thankful every other time that we interact with families, with kids. I'm so thankful to have Clark, man. Every time I'm just like, oh, I'm so thankful that you're you, Clark, man, because some of these folks, I don't know what kind of experience you'd have at Disney with some of these kids, but good luck to them. Speaking of good luck to you this week. That's about it for this. I'm going to be back this week with like the normal show rotation. We got 3 questions still going on. I'm going to wrap that show up when the box ends. And then I think we're going to kick off like a community hour or something here where Sundays this comes out, maybe like Fridays or I don't know, maybe like a day during the week. We'll just vibe and talk about whatever. And you guys can throw out things ahead of time or we can do it live and talk in real time. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So we'll do like the 2-show rotation. I'll figure out a way to make that work. This is obviously like a much more niche channel and audience than my typical stuff. So it's going to be tough for the interaction, I think, just because people have lives and it's going to be hard to find a time when it's good for everyone to like kind of be there. But I guess maybe if we do like some stuff ahead of time, it'd be a fun thing to do. And we'll just see how it goes. 2023, new goals, new plans, new challenges, and you're coming along on the ride. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a glorious week, and we'll see you in the next Missing Pieces episode.